This meeting will now commence at 6:06 PM. The first order of business is roll call. May we please commence roll call?
Student Trustee Basta, President Assad,
President.
Vice President Hebali, Speaker Tumu,
Present.
Chief of Staff Brogri,
Present.
Treasurer Klimek,
Present.
Graphic Designer Abdulhadi, Web Administrator Shrikanda, Chairperson Takudubiapu, Chairperson Huang,
Present.
Chairperson Georgia,
Present.
Chairperson Abdul Sami, Chairperson Nair,
Present.
Representative Jia Patel, Representative Khatri, Representative Devikanan, Representative Cannon, Representative Jom, Representative Madhu Kalam. She's excused. Representative Cabalas, Representative Juma, Representative Fonseca, Representative Fabamek, Representative Shukla, Representative Rothenbaum, Representative Basta, Representative Shavde, Representative Almendras, Representative Whitehair, Representative Burazadan, Representative Shaheen, Representative Azrai, Representative Koleva, Representative Cruz, Representative Cruz, Representative Belhandos, Representative Salem, Representative Diallo, Representative Brown, Representative Shafi, Representative Savas, Representative Lebaka, Representative Fatima, Representative Kwan, Representative Peredruk, Representative Chaudhry, Representative Thomas, Representative Ayush Patel,
Thank you. The next order of business is reading and approval of the minutes. Please take this time to read over the minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to add minutes to the.
All right, there's been a motion to amend minutes to the packet. Does anyone oppose? All those in favor, please say aye. Does anyone abstain? If not, this motion has.
I've just sent the email to everyone.
All right, so just take this time to read over the minutes. That may take a minute or two to send. All right. Is there any corrections to the minutes? If not, then the minutes will stand as approved. The next order of business is reading and approval of the agenda. Please take this time to read over the agenda.
I motion to amend the agenda.
Are there any corrections to the agenda?
I motion to amend the agenda.
All right, what is your motion?
I motion to amend the agenda to change Bill 2024 F6 1006 regarding the food drive to Bill 2024 F6 1008.
All right, there has been a motion to amend Bill 2024 F6 1006. So in the meeting packet, there's two 1006s. So we're amending the second 1006 to say Bill 2024 F6 1008. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. All that oppose, say nay. Does anyone abstain? The ayes have it. This motion has. Are there any other amendments to the agenda?
I motion to add bill 2004 F6 5006 to the agenda.
There's been a motion to add Bill 2024 F6 5006 to the agenda. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? The ayes have it. This motion has. Are there any other motions to the agenda? I motion to table the item for discussion of representative point system. Is there a second for this motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? All those in favor? The ayes have it. This motion has. All right. Are there any last motions or correction to the agenda? If not, then the agenda will stand as approved. The next order of business is public comment. Is there any public comment? If there is no public comment, we will move on to the next order of business. And the next order of business is guest speakers. President Assad, may you please present our first guest speaker?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Ginsburg, who's our current interim Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, as well as the Special Advisor of the Chancellor. He's here to talk to us about a couple of things that he's been overseeing change at UIC, as well as some of the things he's been working on with USG in the past couple of weeks. So Dr. Ginsburg, if you could please come up to the front.
Well, thank you, everyone. Good to meet you all. Let me just tell you briefly a little bit about me, and then we'll get into my presentation. So I am right now officially the Special Advisor of the Chancellor, but I'm serving as the interim Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. I've been here a really long time. That lady in that picture behind there, Dr. Barbara Henley, was my boss for 19 years when she was the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, and I was Associate Vice Chancellor back then. And I took a few twists and turns here at UIC after I spent most of my career in student affairs and spent some time as our Chief Human Resources Officer and then as our Chief Financial Officer. And then I was getting ready to, I think, retire, and I asked the Chancellor if there was anything else she needed me to do, and she asked me to go over and spend some time back in my old haunting place, the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs Office, which I'm really happy to do. This has been my passion, is working with students, and why I got into this business. Once upon a time, I sat in Carlos's chair and worked as an advisor to undergraduate student government and many other organizations. So this is great, and I'm glad to be here. Before I get into my presentation, one other quick thing that I want to tell you is you probably all got an invitation, got an email inviting you to fill out a campus climate survey. And we, as of today, our response rate for students is about 4.2%. So if you haven't filled it out, please do so. And we'd really appreciate your help if you could encourage other students to do that. We want to get as high of a response rate as we can. And the survey is still open for a few more weeks, but we're going to try to do a number of different things to try to encourage students to finish the survey. So please do it. We'll be excited to have you do that. So let me start by saying that one of the things that I learned when I first took over this job and met with Asa and Quinn was finding this little card that came up last year when you all were running for office. And I found a lot of this very interesting because I knew there were many things on here when I first saw it that I knew were on our list of things that we were doing or had done or were about to do. So one of the things that I've been trying to do is try to track all those items and see what the progress is. And what I want to do tonight is give you some progress on all of the items that are there. So I'll let my trusty colleague here take care of it. So told you a little bit about that. I guess, I could go around the room and have you all introduce yourself, but that'd probably take another 45 minutes or so. But I'd love to have an opportunity to meet you all individually at some point. Heard your names as we were going around. All right, so next. So let me tell you a little bit about, just briefly, one other item is Student Affairs reorganization, which is something brand new. So you might know that in Student Affairs, we have a subdivision that's called Campus Auxiliary Services. And one of the things the chancellor has asked to do is, now that we have a new vice chancellor of finance, to take a look at some of the organizations that have been in Campus Auxiliary Services that don't necessarily belong to be part of student affairs. And so there are things that historically, and I've been involved when we got them all once upon a time, that aren't really core student affairs functions. So there are things like managing Credit Union One Arena, managing the forum, dining and retail, even though they're student operations. There's a whole financial component to that. So there's a number of those units that are moving out of student affairs, and they're going to be moving under the vice chancellor for finance. But we're still going to be working closely together to oversee those units and make sure that they're still functioning accordingly. And then there's two other units that a couple of years ago, when Javier Reyes was the interim chancellor, asked to move into be sort of within student affairs and the provost office, which is student success and belonging, and also advising development. Those areas are going to be moving 100% back to the provost. But again, we're working together. I go to their staff meetings. Those the individuals who oversee those areas come to my staff meetings. And so one of the things that's really important to me, and I think to the campus, is to make sure that we're collaborating and everybody knows what we're all working on together. So we'll try to make that as seamless as possible. So let's get into the USG issues. And when you look at this, this is the basic sort of 5 rubrics that I know you listed on that card, which is putting student well-being first, prioritizing your success, strengthening our UIC community, saving students money, and supporting student organizations. And then there's a number of things that are listed under all there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all those items and I'm going to put them in categories for you. One of which is looking at what are the items that are completed or we're completing. Another one is looking at the items that are in progress. Another one is looking at the items that probably more longer term items that we will not be getting to immediately, but definitely something we want to consider and work with students on. And then the fourth one is a few that we need some clarifications and maybe find out some additional information from all of you about that. So let's start first with the completed and completing items. And let me go through a few of these, and I'll ask you, feel free to jump in if you have any questions about any of them as we go along. You don't have to wait till the end. So I'll try to give you a little brief blurb about some of them, just so that you know what we are doing in those areas. So one of them was reducing waiting time for counseling. As of now, there is no waiting list for counseling services. In fact, the Counseling Center just hired 3 new individuals to add to their staff. They still have a few more from the crisis counselor sense. They have a couple of administrative staff that they've just hired, and they're just completing a search for a director of the counseling center. There's an individual who's been the interim director for the last year, Sheila Raja. But we're filling up the slots of all the vacancies, and we're expecting that sometime before the end of 2024, we will have all those slots full. And so without any waiting list right now, and with adding the additional spots, I think we're going to be in a really good place this year on the Counseling Center. Mental health training for professors, one of the things that's really important and ironic about my position is that back when I was in human resources, I was actually the chief negotiator for the university when we negotiated the faculty union contract. And this was an issue that faculty felt was really important, and we spent a lot of time talking about it. You probably may have seen, there was an email that came out a couple of weeks ago that was co-written by me and Rafael Flores El Cavalle, which outlined and has a link to a new guide, which is a health service guide for students. which is a pretty comprehensive document that outlines for students all of the mental health services and all the other health services that are available and how you can navigate them. But one thing that was really important was trying to find a way to connect that with faculty, especially since faculty felt that this was such an important issue to them. So we sent a separate email to faculty, particularly the folks on the faculty union who I worked with a couple of years ago on those contract negotiations to make sure that they had an opportunity to see this and they're planning on taking a look at it and providing me with as much feedback as they can, which I think is going to be real important. It's important that faculty and staff, when they recognize students in need, have an idea of what to do and where to refer students, and that's one of the primary pieces of that. Reopening the cafe and the library. This is, I know, Asa's most important thing, or at least one of them. So we did reopen the cafeteria, the cafe and the library. It is branded by the same group that is over in the lobby of University Hall. They opened last week, and we actually on November 4th are going to do a formal grand opening ceremony, and would like to invite you to come and get a cup of coffee and enjoy that. Food trucks is, I know, something that was on your list. I think you listed them as free food trucks. So we couldn't do free, but we did get our new dining services vendor to bring in food trucks, and there's a few more coming as well. And we're going to see probably throughout the year a rotation of the food trucks, both on the east and west side of the campus. Will be here regularly, and that is actually part of the contract that we have with Sodexo, who's our dining services vendor, that have food trucks here through the life of the contract. So something that we think is really kind of cool. Reopening the bowling alley, something that I know that has been sitting around for a while and something we've been working on. The bowling alley is going to be reopening on October 31st, and we're having a grand opening celebration that day of the reopening of the library. We'd like to invite you all to be there, and I know the Chancellor's planning on being there too, and she might just sneak out to a lane and bring some of her staff and bowl, so you can have some fun with it. Yes?
Yeah, quick question. Is the bowling alley free for students, or do we pay every time?
It is not free, so there is a cost. I don't know off the top of my head what the cost is, but so one of the reasons why we redid the bowling alley is it had, you might remember when we were a kid, really young, bowling alleys had all sorts of different equipment and not all the electronics, and we were one of the last bowling alleys around that needed an actual person to come and fix it. And there's only one company now that's available anywhere in the area, and they're Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They only have one individual, so we thought it was time to modernize the bowling alley and get it rolling with that. Emergency housing and food resources. So you do know that we have the pop-up pantry. We also have some grants that we're working on. There's a state grant to provide some additional resources to students and to try to identify who those students are. And another piece that we're working on is there is a company, local company that's called Dion's Dream, which has literally a vending, call it a vending machine. It's more like a locker, sort of like the Amazon lockers that are downstairs, where students can sign up to get free fresh fruits and vegetables on a weekly basis. And we're working to bring one of those. We're going to put that one over on the west side of campus to start, but depending on how that works, we can expand it to the east side of campus and maybe some other places. They have some of these lockers in other places around the city of Chicago, and Dion is an amazing person, and his vice president of his company is a UIC graduate who actually used to work here as a student employee at UIC Bookstore back when she was here, and they're really excited about bringing this in. And then social gatherings at Chicago events. I have a whole list of some of the things that we've done and are planning on doing, but it's something definitely on our list of things to do, and something that we want to do more of as much as possible. We had some events where we brought students and made tickets available for students to go to the Chicago Cubs, the White Sox, the Chicago Fire, the Chicago Red Stars, and probably some other events. But there's a number of other things that we're doing around the city, and you'll see many of those things as well. So that's the list of things that I put on the completed or completing item. Before I turn to the next one, any other questions that you have about this list? Anything you want me to elaborate on a little bit more? Yes,
Are the fruits gonna be free when you sign up?
that would be great.
For the Dunes one? The free food, the fruits that you're gonna give away, is that free?
No.
Oh.
Sorry. All right, let's talk about the in-progress items. So these are things that we're working on that are sort of, some of them are close to completion, some of them are not. So here's a list. Improving safety in the dorms is definitely something that we think is really important. One of the things we're working on right now is a turnover of the agency that we've used for security. The one that is overnight security. And so we're working on a plan to replace them with another group that we think will do a much better job than the group that we have now. We're working on trying to put a contract together with another agency to do that. That's not the only thing we're doing, but I think that's one that I wanted to just throw out to you that is more of an obvious one that if you do live in the Woodlands, you'll probably see that sometime later this semester. Promoting attendance at UIC athletic events, a really deep interest of mine. That I try to go to as many athletic events as I can. We'd love to see students there. If you've been around here, I know now some of you might be freshmen, but for those of you that have been around UIC for a while, one of the things that's interesting is that you don't see many students that are at basketball, men's and women's basketball games. If you go to our men's and women's soccer games, you see a lot of students at those events. Now, part of it is because students live down there. Part of it is the weather's a little bit nicer in this time of the year than it is in winter. And part of it is, I know there's a good passion that people have for soccer. It's exciting, but we'd really like to get as many students as we can to come to men's and women's basketball games. We're working on a whole series of things. As Leah and I were talking about the tailgate on November 8th to try to get people out to the first event. So that'll be one. And we hope you get hooked and enjoy yourself and find your way. You might have seen that athletics is also planning on a series of maybe once a month or a couple times a month, doing some special promotions where be some giveaway items, whether it's food coupons or other things for students to get you to come out to those men's and women's soccer games, basketball games. So we'd like to have you there. I've recently had a couple of meetings with our new men's basketball coach and our women's basketball coach. This is her third year. They're really excited and really interested in wanting to partner with us and with you if you have any bright ideas to get students to come to the games. They're very interested in wanting to have a crowd. Really help the team. Fostering relationships with UIC alumni is something that's always been really a real key for us. You might have seen that Career Services has done a couple of events in the last couple of weeks where they have brought UIC alums to be available to talk to students about having been a UIC student and the job that they have and how that plays itself out and what have you. But we also work very carefully with the Alumni Association to try to do as much as we can. Arcade games in the rec center, I know that was a key interest of trying to do that. We're out taking a look at that, trying to figure out whether there's a better place to have the arcade games, which is where we had some of them before, which is in the bowling alley here in Student Center East, rather than over at the rec center, but we haven't made a final decision on that. Something we're looking at and trying to figure out what would be best, but something that I think we'll see sometime during this year. More lighting on campus is always a key issue. It's been a key issue since the first day I came here at UIC, and it comes up from students almost every year. I know the Vice Chancellor for Administrative Services, I reached out to them and they said they've done some improvements. They're planning on still doing more study to try to figure out where we need more lighting on campus. And also, I think you have a meeting with Vice Chancellor Coronado coming up, and he's willing to listen and hear a little bit more about that as well. There are a number of items on here that relate to our student engagement area. And one of the things that, again, I know is they have been working with students to try to meet some of your needs with all of these. And I've got a little bit more details on this if you have questions, but I'll just go through this kind of quickly. Improving the room booking system, increasing transparency around student organization resources, system to promote student organization events, and improving student organization registration, things that they are all working on, and things that I think you'll see some changes again fairly soon as well with that. So any questions about the in-progress events that I can elaborate on? Yes.
Well, I just want to say as a transfer student, it's super exciting to see how tangible all the completed tasks are. Like all the food trucks and everything else. I mean, like my previous I've never even imagined like how many opportunities and resources that UNC has. And it's super exciting to see all the in progress that we're all working towards as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, so
And then administrators actually do listen to students, right? So that's why we're here. So that's the way a good institution should run, we think. All right, future projects. So these are some of the things that I think are more of the longer term issues that you won't see any changes really soon, but things that either cost money or things that we need a lot more study on. So the digital iCard system, we actually have begun looking at the cost of doing some of that, trying to figure out what companies are out there that can do that. It's going to be a considerable cost, so we want to make sure we do this right, and we may very well, if there's multiple companies, the way things work in the state of Illinois, we have to do a formal bid and go through a formal bidding process and solicit bids from outside agencies to give us bids to figure out what services they can provide, what the costs are. But it is something we definitely want to see. It's just going to take a little bit while to identify and figure out what the resources are. More study spaces on campus. One of the things that has been a plan for several years is to do some addition and reorganization of this building particularly. And you may know that some of your student fees have been going to for the last several years to put some money away for a project to do that. And we've had a couple of iterations of that project. One of the things that Chancellor Miranda has asked to do, you know, there is a search going on for the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. And what she really wants to do is wait until we have the new Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs here to give them an opportunity to create their vision for what that ought to look like. And hopefully we'll have a new Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs sometime in 2025 at some point, whether it's in the spring or maybe a little bit later than that. But if once we do, that will definitely be something that's going to be back on the table. USC student discounts, something we've had a number of those, and actually when I came back to this job, I was kind of baffled because I didn't know what happened to some of those discount programs that we used to have either, and I think they just kind of went away. And so that's something we do want to look at, and probably need a lot more information about what are some of the discount things that we can do, what's available, what it is that we can provide students. So we're going to try to inventory that and see what we can do to provide some discount programs. And then the other area is sleeping areas for commuters. You know, actually, it was, we actually had a sleeping area for students a number of years ago when I first started working here, a little sleeping area. And I think there were like 3 beds, if I remember, probably maybe a few more. And they were available and students could use them. We got rid of those a long time ago, but one of the things we recognize is there are a lot of needs for our commuter students. You know, the Commuter Student Resource Center provides a lot of support for our commuter students. You know, this week they have a number of events they're doing to highlight, and it's something that I think we should look at and try to identify, again, what's the space that we need to do that, and what would be the cost in order to get there to try to do that. So not something we're going to get to immediately, but something that I think we can as well. So again, I'll stop. Future projects, anything that you want to ask about any of these. All right. So let's go to my last group, which is those items that need further information and discussion. So I reached out to some of the offices that are in charge of some of these areas, and they said, I can't really answer it because I need some more information. So that's why I put this on the list. I know there has been some talk about a rapid response tutoring system. There is some work going on it, but I think what we need to know is a little bit more exactly about what students want and what it is that we can do to get there and try to meet your needs as best we can. New class registration system, again, something we're looking at. One twist about the class registration system is that the system that we use is connected to what we call the enterprise system called Banner. And Banner is the system we use for our finance, our HR, and our student systems. And those systems all are run centrally for the whole University of Illinois system. So UIC can't adopt a new system if we don't get Urbana and Springfield and the University of Illinois systems all want the same thing, which usually takes a longer period of time to get everybody on the same page. But it is something that we do want to look at. We've also spent some time trying to just look at the Banner system and think about if in the future there's a better system as well that could help us better operate the university. So something that we want to do, but I think we need some more information from you about exactly what is it about the class registration system that you think needs to be changed. You know, I'll ask you some questions about that in a minute. Improving the USC student scholarship programs and student financial advising. I think you probably all know there's a system called SNAP, which is the system that you can use to find scholarships on. There's been some improvements. I know they're planning some additional improvements, but again, I'd ask for you to give us some information about exactly what you see is needed with that system that would help us as we're looking at planning those changes. And then I threw this one on the list, which is a little bit different, which is I know there's one of no tuition and student fee increases. I want to talk about that for a minute because one of the things you might or might not know is that we have had no tuition increases here at the university for something like 7 or 8 of the last 10 years, which is great for students and great for the state of Illinois. It's not been totally great for the university because one of the things that we have is without an increase in tuition, without a substantial increase in money from the state of Illinois, and and some of the growing costs that we have, particularly because of union contracts that faculty and graduate assistants and other staff, police, teachers, whatever all the unions are that we have on campus, and we've got 27 of them. The costs keep escalating, and what we are doing is we're trying to pay our faculty and staff more money to attract and retain those faculty and staff. And the same thing with student employees, with student jobs as well, which makes it really difficult for us as we're kind of constrained with that. So while no tuition increases and fee increases are always something that we kind of start with, we always like to dangle out there the possibility that we could do something that would be fairly minimal. And so we're taking a look this year to see if there's some opportunity to have some minimal increases in both tuition and fees. It probably won't be zero, but it's gonna be pretty minimal if it is something else. And we're taking a look at that. I know the Student Fee Advisory Committee has spent a little bit of time looking at some of the issues that relate to student fees. And then as soon as they're done, they'll have some discussion about tuition as well. So those are still items to be discussed and then around the table. And I think they're dangling out there. So I'll stop there. And I got through my list, I think, fairly quickly, and see if you want to elaborate on some of these issues or have questions about others or anything else you want to ask me about while I'm here.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for Dr. Ginsburg?
So when on the future slide, I saw that there was the sleeping areas for commuters. Is there like some sort of timeline on that, seeing as though we are a commuter school?
Yeah, there's not. You know, it's something that we need to come up with a plan and put together a timeline, but we don't have one today.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Ginsburg?
For more lighting around campus, would we be fixing some of the lights that sometimes turn on and off, or adding more?
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely on the list. You know, there's kind of a funny thing about my first year here at the university, and my job didn't entail this, but my boss's boss, I had kind of an odd job, and I was around here in the evening, told me to walk around campus every night and take an inventory of lighting, and maybe we need another person like that to do that again, but definitely something that is on the list that the Vice Chancellor for Administrative Services wants to take a look at trying to fix.
Are there any other questions?
Okay, hi. I'm sorry. So, Dr. Ginsburg, you contributed to UIC for a long time. You always for students. You achieved so many great stuff. So my question is, what is your favorite achievement that you accomplished?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, I'll tell you two things that I spent the most time accomplishing. There's a lot of things that I've done, and it's been great. It's been a great time here, and one of the things, again, I'll just take you back. I came here with my first job. My whole goal was to support students and work with students, and that's been the passion and fun that I've had forever. There are some things that I was in the middle of and had a lot to do with back at the beginning, which is the student legal service is something that I started back in the day. The student services building, while I know it's not the most convenient place for students, I'll tell you that before we had the student services building, all of the units that were originally in that building were spread around 9 different buildings on campus. And if you had to deal with the registrar, the bursar, and the financial aid office, you had to go to 3 different buildings and walk all the way across campus. Career services was down in the Roosevelt Road building across the street from the Forum, and you had to go through the back door in that building. So we were looking for a number of years for a place that we could consolidate all those services together. There was a plan to build a new building over on Harrison Field. We never got money to do that. And then we actually were going to move the student services building, where Cuppa Hall is right across from the expressway. We started a plan and started moving units in there, and then the long story, that kind of fell apart. And right after that fell apart, the building that is the student services building was a shopping center. Probably not surprising when you walk around there. It was called the Circle Court Shopping Center. And they came to the university and they said, be interested in buying it. We thought, we're looking for a place for the student services building. Let's take it and let's see what we can do and move everything over there. And students were really supportive of doing that on both the east and west side of the campus. At that time, we actually had some parking that made it a little bit more convenient. We had parking on the roof and we had some metered parking, and those kind of went away. But that was something that I spent a lot of time working on. I'm really proud of having done that. Probably a lot more things, but those are just some things that I can jump in on.
Thank you so much.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Ginsburg?
Really quick, all of the emails about the climate survey that I got were in my spam folder, so that may be contributing to the low response rate.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
The climate.
climate survey.
Were redirected to my spam folder, so if that's happening for all students, that would be fine for response rate.
Yeah, it is. And, so the real key question is, what can we do to encourage students to have to do that? Of course, everybody is, like, if we had a room where we gave out free pizza and had everybody fill out the survey or something like that, probably get people to do it. We're trying to brainstorm a number of different ideas, ways to get people out, which I think is cool.
A way that could happen is similar to course evaluations, like professors could send it out through Blackboard,
Yeah,
perhaps, like if the dean communicated that to their faculty.
yeah, but that's one of the things we thought about definitely.
All right. Are there any other?
Yeah, just, we can also share it on our social media platform, or just.
Yeah. The one oddity with it is that you can't forward what you got to somebody else because the QR code that you have in there is specific just to you. So kind of makes it difficult to be able to just send out a mass mail and say, hey, click this on and fill this out. So that won't work. We used an outside vendor to help us put that survey together and send it out, which is one of the reasons why we know some people may not have done it, because it doesn't exactly totally look like it came from the university, because it comes from, I forgot the name of the firm, but it comes from an outside company that we contracted with to do it.
All right. I think we have enough time for one more question. Teresa?
Hi, just a clarification question about the food trucks and then the Dion's Locker, the fruit locker things. The fruit locker is at no cost, right?
That's correct.
That's at no cost, and then the food trucks, you have to pay.
Food trucks,
Okay.
you have to-
Okay,
unfortunately, but at least we have a lot of compliance.
yeah, right,
If
thank
nothing-
you.
if nothing else. Of course, we had some free food trucks at New Student Convocation, and they weren't free at Spark, you had to pay at Spark. Which the lines were shorter at Spark because then they were New Student Convocation because you had to pay for it. That's okay. And hopefully you went to some of those events, and some exciting things that we've been doing, trying to engage students as well. So thank you for your comment. I do appreciate the fact and really tell you, really what we were all about. Student affairs is trying to do what we can to support our students, to do everything we can to try to meet your needs. Obviously, we can't do everything that everybody wants, and there's resources aren't unlimited, but we listen, we care, we want to work with you, and I know you know the rest of our staff, the staff in the counseling center, the staff in student engagement, the staff in the dean of students office, et cetera, are all great folks, and I'm thrilled to have them as part of my team while I'm in this job. So thanks for having me, and feel free if you ever have any questions for me. You can find me via email. I'm over in the student services building if you're ever there, and if I'm not in meetings, my door is always open, so feel free to stop by. So thanks.
Now we will move on to the next order of business. And the next order of business is going to be old business. First, we have Bill 2024 F5 1004, which we will vote on tonight. Would a chief sponsor be able to read it for us?
I'll be reading. Chief sponsors are Vice President Haybelli and Treasurer Klimek. Co-sponsors are President Assad, Graphic Designer Abdul Adi, Director Nair, and Director Huang. Whereas the undergraduate student government participates in and funds various UIC events throughout the year to provide opportunities for the undergraduate student body to be better connected. And whereas Homecoming Week is one of the most important traditions of UIC, while students interact with UIC student organizations, UIC administrators, and UIC alumni at the tailgate. And whereas the undergraduate student government supports the student engagement and collaborate with student orgs to increase participation and flame spirit in the UIC Homecoming tailgate, then let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government will present the Flame Spirit Award to a registered student organization based on the criteria such as most crowded, most prepared, and most alumni attended. The winning organization will receive a $500 restaurant award in recognition of their contribution to student involvement. Let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government shall allocate a maximum of $7,500 to cover the similar expenditures that will occur in planning and participating in the tailgate and homecoming activities. Included in the list below, which include a food truck, DeWitt's cookies, coffee, hot cocoa, tea, lemonade, a heated tent at the tailgate, and the award. Let it be further resolved that all unspent funds shall be returned to the budget.
All right. Are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution, or would anyone like to introduce any amendments?
So how are we picking the most crowded, most prepared?
So it's going to be based on like organizations that register with us that they're going to be attending. It's how many people are there basically. So most alumni get like it gives like a certain amount of points, and then the most people in total, the most crowded kind of has in that. And most prepared is like how much advertising and how much like excitement they have with that.
I actually want to share that with you too. After the resolution passed, I want to open like a volunteering part for the judge. So maybe we can have like a mini commission to vote on the organizations. I was part of that last 2 years. So you basically check all of them, but you're not sharing with anyone that you are in that voting committee. So you need to see the old perspectives that, okay, how many, alumni they have, what they bring to the table and everything, and how many people, we check the members and also like the other attendees of the tailgate. So yeah, all of those, like Michael said.
Are there any other questions, comments, or amendments to this bill? If not, we will move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting Bill 2024 F5 1004, please say aye. All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? The ayes have it. This bill has passed. Next, we have Bill 2024 F5 3002, which we will also vote on tonight. Would a chief sponsor be able to read this for us?
2001. The bill 2024 F5 2001 Public Affairs Tabling. Chief sponsors is the Public Affairs Committee. Co-sponsors is President Assad, Chief of Staff Progre, and Vice President Haybelly. Whereas the undergraduate student government aims to represent students and advocates on behalf of their needs, and whereas USG seeks to continually improve and expand upon its initiatives based on student experiences and feedback, and whereas the Public Affairs Committee is tasked with the job of communicating information about USG events and activities to students, then let it be resolved that the Public Affairs Committee, UIC Undergraduate Student Government, will host tabling sessions weekly or bi-weekly to facilitate communication with students, including requesting feedback and promoting upcoming USG events. Let it be further resolved that the tabling sessions will be varied in dates and timings, of which will be decided the week prior in coordination with the executive team and the House. Let it be further resolved, representatives from other committees will be encouraged to help with the initiative, and there will be a minimum of 2 USG executive cabinet members at all times at the table.
All right. Are there any questions or comments regarding this bill, or would anyone like to introduce any amendments?
I would like to motion to amend the bill.
All right, what is your motion?
I would like to motion to add the clauses. Let it be further resolved that $500 will be allocated for catering services and other costs to encourage students to interact with USG members. In the clause, let it be further resolved that any unspent funds shall be returned to the USG budget.
There's been a motion to add 2 let it be resolved clauses, 1 to allocate funds and 1 to return any unspent funds to the budget. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? The ayes have it. This amendment has passed. Are there any other amendments to this bill? There are no other amendments. Can you send the amendment bill to the packet?
Yes.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding this bill? If not, we will move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting Bill 2024 F5 3001, please say aye. Aye. All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? The ayes have it. This resolution has passed. Next, we have Resolution 2024 F5 3002, which we will vote on tonight. Would a chief sponsor be able to read this for us?
Okay. U.S. Shipping Safety Commission Prioritization 2024-2025. Chief sponsors President Assad, myself, and Chief of Staff Teresa, and co-sponsors are Director Chana. Whereas the undergraduate student government is an institution that advocates for student concerns and drives campus service programs. And whereas campus safety is the top concern of the student body and undergraduate student government's members. And whereas numerous incidents raise concerns about student safety, highlighting that existing campus services are not meeting the needs of students. Whereas the USC campus has had a notable amount of USC alerts during summer 2024 and during the first week of the fall semester, then let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government shall continue to address campus safety by reauthorizing the USC Campus Safety Commission for the 2024-2025 academic year. Then let it be further resolved that the mission of the USC Campus Safety Commission is as follows. The USC Campus Safety Commission shall work to improve the safety of students and UIC community members by meeting with administrations relevant to campus safety and concerns, ideas, and feedback from students on campus services. Data achieved by this commission shall be reported back to the undergraduate student government to provide recommendations to the UIC administration. Let it be further resolved, upon passing the bill, the undergraduate student government shall work immediately for the USG Campus State Commission for the 2024-2025 academic year.
All right. Are there any questions or comments regarding this bill, or would anyone like to introduce any amendments? If there are no questions or comments or amendments, we will move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting Bill 2024 F5 3002, please say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? The ayes have it. This bill has passed. Next, we have Bill 2024 F5 5003. Can a chief sponsor please read this for us?
That would be me. The USG participation and promotion of the UIC bowling alley grand reopening. As you heard, we worked really hard to reopen our bowling alley. It opens again on Halloween Day. So the idea with this bill is the undergraduate student government will be promoting this grand reopening of our bowling alley through our newsletter and Instagram page to encourage student attendance, as well as we ourselves will actively participate in this reopening from noon to 3 p.m. on Halloween Day to demonstrate support for student recreation on campus, as well as just enhancing the visibility of the bowling alley as a space for students to engage with.
All right. Are there any questions or comments regarding this bill, or would anyone like to introduce any amendments? Sure.
So I don't know how the bowling alley works, but how does it actually work? If students want to play, do they just go and do they sign up for a slot, or do they just go there and make it?
Traditionally, you would go in and then you'd have to buy your lane to buy the game. And then you get to play until your game is over. So I would imagine it'd be the same, but I know for the grand reopening, it's free bowling. So I think as people come in, you get free food, you get to play bowling for a while and then you leave.
So is there gonna be any thing that we can put on Instagram or Snapchat that can say hey, we're opening up the bowling alley, some promotional flyer?
Yeah, the idea is we would be making the graphic to post it.
Oh, I think another idea. I think, under the big thing that we also need to, you don't get enough word out, it's kind of a flop. So I think we should engage other clubs to post it, and maybe we should also do a TikTok, because there's a lot of trending stuff that's going on. Did you hear the USC?
Absolutely.
All right, Gia?
For adding to Dimitri's idea, I think we could also reach out to individual clubs and group life and stuff like that, and give them invitations towards bowling alleys opening. We'd love to do that.
So guys, one of the very important part of this promoting is also you. So please, all of you are student leaders at campus, or at least engaging with some clubs. So you also can talk with your clubs, organizations, and say, hey, there's reopening, you actually worked hard on that, and we are doing the promoting part. Invite your classmates, because it's a great opportunity. It will have free food, free entertainment. So why not, if people know, I'm sure they will love to come. So try to tell everyone you see, and promote it to the orgs, friends, whoever you think will be a good fit. Everyone's a good fit, obviously.
Yeah. Are there any other questions or comments regarding this bill?
Regarding people coming, I know that a lot of members from PAC, Public Affairs will also be there too from our student association.
Are there any other final questions or comments regarding this bill? If not, we will move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting Bill 2024 F5 5003, please say aye. All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? All right, the ayes have it. This bill has passed. And that is our last bill for old business. The next order of business is new business. First, we have Bill 2024 F6 1005. Can a chief sponsor please read this for us?
Yeah, this is Party to the Polls. The chief sponsors are President Assad, Director Giorgio, Treasurer Klimek, and co-sponsor is Chief of Staff Program. Whereas student voter registration and participation rates at UIC have been historically low, with only 70% of UIC students registered to vote, and of that 70%, only 30% actually participating in voting. With many students facing barriers such as lack of awareness about registration deadlines, difficulties in accessing polling sites, and limited education about voting options, and whereas it is crucial to provide nonpartisan educational opportunities to raise awareness of voter registration, early voting, and voting by mail without promoting any specific political viewpoints or candidates, and whereas the Student Leadership and Civic Engagement SLCE Center has expressed willingness to collaborate with USG to engage students in the democratic process through events aimed at improving voter participation, and whereas an event titled Party to the Polls will take place on Wednesday, October 30th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., giving students the opportunity to share their thoughts on the upcoming elections, participate in games and activities, and join the National Campus Democracy Challenge, then let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government, USG, will collaborate with the Student Leadership and Civic Engagement Center to host Party to the Polls, which will function as an early voting site, organized in an unbiased, nonpartisan manner to ensure inclusivity and neutrality for all students. Let it further be resolved that USG will contribute to this event by allocating a maximum of $2,750 to provide food and refreshments for 150 to 200 attendees, such as chips, salsa, and desserts. Let it further be resolved that all unspent funds shall be returned to the budget.
Thank you. I will now open up the floor for discussion. Are there any questions or comments regarding this bill?
I motion to amend Bill 2024 F6 1000.
All right, what is your motion?
I motion to executive order.
All right, the president has moved to make this bill an executive order, so we will be voting on this tonight. With that in mind, are there any questions or comments related to this bill?
The first reading should be the 21st.
All right, there has been a motion to change the first reading of the bill to October 21st, 2024. Is there a second? All right, it has been moved and seconded, so that the first reading says October 21st, 2024. All those in favor of this amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? The ayes have it. This amendment has passed. Are there any other questions, comments, or amendments to this bill? All right. If not, we will be voting. We will move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting Bill 2024 F6 1005, please say aye. All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? The ayes have it. This bill has passed. All right. Next, we have Bill 2024 F6 1006. Can a chief sponsor please read this for us?
Bill 2024 F6 1006, the Connecting Student Leaders event. Whereas the undergraduate student government is following its tenets of service, fosters student engagement, collaboration, and leadership within itself and across campus. And whereas the undergraduate student government seeks to engage student leadership across campus, having partnered with various student organizations with shared goals and visions. And whereas the undergraduate student government has previously held events titled Connecting Student Leaders, which accomplish the above goals, then let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government will organize an event to the Connecting Student Leaders for leadership of student organizations to network, discuss shared interests and experiences, and collaborate on future endeavors. Let it be further resolved that the undergraduate student government will allocate $5,000 for catering services and other expenses at Pompeii or another venue of PAC's choosing on Wednesday, November 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. for this event. Let it be further resolved that any unspent funds shall be returned to the USG budget.
Thank you. I will now open up the floor for discussion. Are there any questions or comments regarding this bill? If there are no further comments, we will be voting on this bill next week. Next, we have Bill 2024 F6 1007. Can a chief sponsor please read this for us?
Bill 2024 F6 1007, USG second annual Thanksgiving dinner. Chief sponsors, Vice President Delight Kimberly, Diversity and Inclusion Director Sultan Sami, Representative Tanushree Devi Kannan, Representative Jia Patel, Representative Manoj Jom, Representative Zaina Diallo, Representative Maya Chagin. Co-sponsors, President Eva, Treasurer Michael Zelenek. Whereas the undergraduate student government seeks to foster familial atmosphere within the University of Illinois Chicago student body, recognizing that many students are away from home during Thanksgiving week. And whereas Thanksgiving is a shared tradition during the holiday season that unites people from diverse cultures and backgrounds in celebration, and the undergraduate student government aims to promote inclusivity by celebrating national holidays and cultural observation. And whereas the second annual Thanksgiving dinner provides UIC students with an occasion for socialization, connection, and comfort, hosted by USG during Thanksgiving week, featuring free food activities and opportunities for community engagement, then let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government proudly hosts the second annual Thanksgiving dinner with the intent of establishing it as a lasting tradition that fosters community connection and inclusivity at UIC for years to come. And let it be resolved that the Thanksgiving dinner event will be held on Tuesday, November 26th, or during the last week of November from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. in the UIC Inner Circle. Let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government shall allocate a maximum of $2,500 towards the Thanksgiving dinner, including expenses for UIC catering, activities, and giveaways. Let it be further resolved that any unspent funds shall be returned to the budget.
All right, thank you. I will now open up the floor for discussion. Are there any questions or comments? I'll be making a motion to change Representative Jose Nato Diallo to correct the spelling of her name. Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded to correct Representative Jose Nato Diallo's name so that it has the correct spelling of her name. All those in favor of this amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? The ayes have it. This amendment has passed. Are there any other questions, comments, or amendments to this bill? If not, we will be voting on this bill next week. Next, we have Bill 2024 F6 1008. Would a chief sponsor be able to introduce the resolution for us?
Okay, so the chief sponsors of Bill 2024 F6 1008 is the whole CLC or Campus Life Committee. Co-sponsors are President Assad, Vice President Abeli, and Chief of Staff Progre and Treasurer Klimek. And then, whereas many UIC undergraduate students face food insecurity and this issue is exacerbated during the Thanksgiving holiday season, and whereas the Wellness Center relies on monetary and item donations for the UIC pop-up pantry to support its mission of serving the students of UIC and combating food insecurity at the college level, let it be resolved that the Campus Life Committee of the UIC Undergraduate Student Government will organize and host a food drive in collaboration with other UIC centers to collect non-perishable food items and essential supplies for the UIC pop-up pantry. Let it be further resolved that the food drive will be held from November 12th, 2024 to November 26th, 2024 in collaboration with the following UIC centers: the Business Career Center, Engineering Career Center, LAS Career Development, School of Public Health Career Center, Women's Leadership and Resource Center, Gender and Sexuality Center, the Disability Resource Center, the Student Recreation Facility, and the MSLC, and UIC ROTC, and the Burnham Hall Tutoring Center. And let it be further resolved that the UIC center that donates the most items will be rewarded with a $50 prize, and all of the collected items from the food drive will be delivered to the UIC pop-up pantry to help address food insecurity on campus. Let it be further resolved that the undergraduate student government will allow the use of the USG logo and promotional items and will work to advertise the event. And let it be further resolved the undergraduate student government will allocate up to $275 to fund the purchase of collection boxes and prizes for the event. And then there's like a short list on the actual bill. And then let it be further resolved that all unspent funds shall be returned to the budget.
Thank you. I will now open up the floor for discussion. Are there any questions or comments or amendments? If there are no questions or comments, we will be voting on this bill next week. All right, next we have Bill 2024 F6 3003. Can a chief sponsor please read this for us?
So yeah, this bill is addressing campus food insecurity and reestablishing the meal swipe donation program. The chief sponsors are Chief of Staff Progre, myself, and Vice President Haybelly, with the co-sponsors being President Assad, Director Giorgio, Representative Almendrez, and Representative Shukla. And then whereas food insecurity is a pressing issue that affects a significant portion of students on campus, with a #RealCollege national survey finding that 39% of college students struggle to access adequate and nutritious meals. And whereas research has shown that food insecurity negatively impacts students' academic performance, mental health, and overall well-being, which undermines their success and retention in higher education. And whereas the To Address Food Insecurity Resolution 2023 S13 2004 was passed and successfully secured with annual meal swipes for food insecure students in the UIC Dining Services contract, as well as called for the establishment of a meal swipe donation program. And whereas other institutions like the University of Iowa have established successful models of meal share programs, and you can find a link on the actual bill. And whereas in the fall 2023 semester, the USG worked with the former dining services vendor Chartwells to implement a pilot meal swipe donation program that collected 98 donations from 41 students in a single 3-hour event despite no prior promotion to the student body, demonstrating the on-the-spot interest from students to donate and help their fellow flames. And whereas UIC dining vendor Sodexo Magic has expressed a willingness to collaborate with the USG on campus initiatives aimed at improving student success or student access to resources, then let it be resolved that USG will work in collaboration with Sodexo Magic to reestablish the meal swipe donation program, hosting routine tabling events, enabling students with meal plans to donate unused swipes to peers facing food insecurity. And let it be further resolved that that USG will partner with the Office of the Dean of Students to ensure that meal swipes are dispersed to students in need in an equitable and confidential manner, prioritizing those most at risk of food insecurity.
All right, thank you. I will now open up the floor for discussion. Are there any questions or comments regarding this bill or any amendments? All right. If there are no questions or comments, we will be voting on this bill next week. Next, we have Bill 2024 F6 5004. Can a chief sponsor please read this for us?
So Bill 2024 F6 5004, USG participation in the university's library Howell Arene job costume contest. So chief sponsors is President Assad, myself, and Director Wang. So whereas the undergraduate student government USG is dedicated to fostering a positive campus experience for all students, And whereas the UIC University Library plans to host a Howl a Weed dog costume contest on Thursday, October 31st, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., which aligns with the USU Commission to support student well-being. And whereas the event will serve as a fun and engaging stress relief activity for students during the academic year, by offering an opportunity to interact with dogs, including Copper Ham and Ambasso dog Kenzo. And whereas co-hosting the event will help build the reputation of the UIC University Library as a supportive, fun, and resourceful space for students, thereby strengthening campus community ties. And whereas the collaboration between USG and the University Library for this event will create a campus-wide publicity, furthering our commitment to student engagement and support, then let me resolve that the undergraduate student government will officially co-host the Howl a Weed dog costume contest on October 31st, 2024, in partnership with the UIC University Library, offering support and event promotion, social media engagement, and on-site participation. And let it be further resolved that USG will host a table at the event, providing giveaway items from the USG office and interacting with the students to further engage with the campus community during the event. Let it be further resolved that USG will host the University Library to ensure the event is a success, enhancing the partnership between both organizations and providing students with an enjoyable and stress relieving experience. So basically, all those words is more so just an opportunity just for its USG presence at the giveaway on the 31st between 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We'll be giving away stuff that we have in the office and such. Just like stress relief activity, it's supposed to be a fun time. It's a dog costume contest, something a little bit fun, something in the library, something stress relief. And we're at that end of that midterm period between midway through the semester, and that's kind of the point. Questions?
Thank you. I will now open up the floor for discussion. Are there any questions or comments?
I just want to say this sounds super exciting. I love dogs and I love giveaways, and I'm super excited about the copy opening as well. I was wondering if for final exam, if there'll be also doing an opening where the library will be open for longer hours, just because I know last year it was open for a little longer than it is now.
Yeah. Good question. So what we will be doing is the library will usually extend hours. They usually go 24/7 during finals week, so giving students the opportunity to prepare for final exams. And then during final exam period, Student Success Committee will also be hosting a study palooza. So more information will come about that probably within the next, in about 3-ish weeks is I think when it's scheduled for me to talk about it in my mind, but you'll get some more information about that, but great one. Yeah. Other questions?
Any other questions or comments?
Good question. I believe it's actually the vote among students that they cast. Asa, does that sound right?
Yes, I think it's through like their social media when they post like those Instagram polls and other ones from there.
So the University Library.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding this bill?
Besides the 2 dogs mentioned, are the other animals like students' dogs that they'll bring?
I suppose others are welcome to bring their dogs, but quite frankly, I think this is more so just a Kenzo competition, just because they like to consider themselves the center of the university. I don't know if you know Papa Ann, but whenever he goes to an event, he likes to sit right front and center. He did that today, just for everyone to come pet him. But yeah, he really likes attention.
Are there any other questions or comments for this bill? If there are no further questions or comments, we will be voting on this bill next week. Next, we have Bill 2024 F6 5005. Can a chief sponsor please read this for us?
The USG participation in the UIC Dining Food Security event and promotion of the Meal Swipe donation program. So food insecurity is a big issue here at UIC, and UIC Dining and other campus orgs make the effort to address food insecurity, and we do as well. So our goal is to work with UIC Dining and the dietitian to support food security initiatives on campus, as well as promote the Meal Swipe donation program, which would get voted on next week. soon. So our goal is to actively participate and table at the UIC Dining Food Security event on Tuesday and Wednesday, November 12th and 13th, to promote that meal swipe donation program launch. So we will be creating and displaying QR codes during the event to link to a Qualtrics form where students can choose to donate 1, 2, or 3 meal swipes to support other students in need. And we will also offer incentives for students to donate.
All right. Are there any questions or comments for this bill? If there are no questions or comments, we will be voting on this bill next week. Next, we have Bill 2024 F6 5006. This is not in the meeting packet, it's in the email chain. So just take a second to take a look at it. Also, allow for a minute to read over the bill. Would a chief sponsor be able to introduce this bill for us?
Yeah, so Bill 2024 F6 5006, the 2025 USG Gala budget allocation amendment. The chief sponsors are Treasurer Clement, President Asa, Secretary Amina, Representative Bakri, Representative Treasurer, Representative Cruz, Representative Salem, and Representative Sal. Whereas the undergraduate student government traditionally holds the USG Gala at the end of the academic school year, and whereas the USG Gala serves as an opportunity for the undergraduate student government to connect the USC administrators, celebrate and localize the progress and achievements made in supporting and representing the USC undergraduate student body, and displaying USG's legitimacy as an organization and highly professional student organization. And whereas City Cruise is the venue we have used the previous 2 years for the USG Gala, has offered USG an exclusive discount in reserving the space for the 2025 USG Gala. Then let it be resolved that the USG budget will be amended to transfer 3,000 from the discretionary allocation to the Gala allocation. The USG Gala allocation will stand at 16,000 for the 24-25 school year.
All right, thank you. I will now open up the floor for discussion. Are there any questions or comments regarding this bill? All right. If there are no questions or comments, we will be voting on this bill next week.
I motion to executive order Bill 2024 F6 5006.
All right, the president has moved to make this bill an executive order, so we will be voting on it tonight. Keeping that in mind, are there any final questions or comments regarding this bill or amendments? If not, we will move to voting. All those in favor of adopting Bill 2024 F6 5006, please say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? The ayes have it, and this bill has passed. Great. That is our last resolution. The next order of business is ex officio reports. May we please have the report of the advisor?
Okay. But essentially, what you all have in terms of the USG Gala, I wanted to explain to you exactly what that is. So what you just passed, the invoice that we received, but you get the cruise, you get catering, you get free DJ, you're over 21, there's a cat bar as well. So I just wanted you all to be aware of that. We got an excellent deal there. The costs and everything, and yeah. So tomorrow morning, I'm sending an email to you all to the application for individuals. So if you know any individuals, just let me know. And then just for future references in terms of like guest speakers and all that, I'll be asking my supervisor or Fernandez either the end of this semester or early next semester to talk to you all about this. As I am your advisor, my true role is the associate director of community standards. I want you all to be aware of this.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for the advisor? If not, the report of the advisor will be filed. Next, we have the report of the student trustee. There is no report from the student trustee this week. The next order of business is officer reports. May we please have the report of the president?
Hello, everyone. Happy week 9. Congratulations to all those deputies who were chosen. The directors will be announcing today. Pretty short past couple of weeks, or last week. I met with alumni and former President Matthew Alendras and Director Georgia to discuss bill tracking on the 3 campuses and making connections with state officials for lobbying purposes. I attended a gala planning meeting with USG Advisor Carlos, Treasurer Michael, and Secretary Thea to discuss the gala. I held a conference call with Trustee Lobster, Vice President Haybelly, and Chief of Staff Fogri, and Director Nair to discuss logistics for implementing this year's meal spike donation program. Also met with Director Nair to discuss the peer mentorship programming that we've been working on, and we're trying to figure out like a plan of implementation. Just a couple of opportunities. The Elliott Faculty Research Symposium, focusing on the impact of AI, is this Thursday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. So feel free to go in and out. There's a bunch of free food. It's literally all day. So if you have even like 15 minutes, like stop by, listen a little bit, grab something. It's pretty informative. There is tabling tomorrow at the CUPPA Student Involvement Fair. We have a table. So if you're free from 4 to 5:30, you want to make connections with other student leaders from that area, or meeting with like research centers and stuff like that from that have that CUPPA focus, feel free to come. And then don't forget, Flames Fest is on Wednesday. It's a very exciting event, so we hope to see everyone there. Thank you.
All right, are there any questions?
Apologies if I totally missed what the flyer is, but is there a flyer for the AI event?
I think it's just been emailed to everyone, so that's all.
All right, are there any other questions for the president? If there are no other questions or comments, the report of the president will be filed. Next, we have the report of the vice president.
Hi, everyone. Happy GBM 6. So it was a very packed GBM, so I enjoyed a lot. Okay. So I met with dietitian Krista to collaborate for the URC Dining Food Security event and the Meal Spike donation program. With Quinn, student trustee Quinn, Teresa, and Prema. We collaboratively decide that we will have Meal Spike donation program as tabling event at the URC Dining Food Security event. So basically last year, we also had a tabling event with Dining Hall. I was part of that too. So what we're gonna do is we will have a tabling on that event, and all of you are more than welcome to volunteer. It's such a good cause. We will have table for 2 days straight. So I just want to announce this right now. We will talk more after the resolution passed. And we also told like the details and everything. Like as I said, it's a conference call. Other thing, I organized the Connected Student Leaders with the PAC committee, Public Affairs Committee. So last week I met with Ashley to hear what PAC thinks on their ideas, the marketing purposes. I met with the Treasurer Klimek to decide the budget on this event. We also talked with Ashley about how we are going to do the outreach and everything. If you have any question about that, you can also let me know. This is such a good event and good tradition of USG. We will talk more to the resolution for sure, but the most important part of the event that we promote this to student organizations well. So yeah, you're all welcome to invite all of your organizations or anyone you know who is in an organization. But they need to do registration, and it's limited spots for each organization. Anyways, I am organizing this second annual Thanksgiving dinner with the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. I met with Abdul today I actually met with the committee too. We discussed about all Thanksgiving dinner ideas that we have. We discussed about the last year event that I organized with our committee, like last year, the IC committee. So it will be going to be good. If you guys have an idea, please let me know. Right now it's on process, and I met with Klimek to arrange budgets. And I'm also organizing the USG participation for tailgate with Michael. I met with former student trustee Cox and recent alumni engagement committee member John Donner from UIC Alumni Board to discuss how we maximize interactions between UIC students and alumni during the tailgate. So I'll talk about that a little bit. He'll still text today that, hey, can you be sure that we announce it well? So after today, the resolution passed, what we are going to do, we will promote this event on social media. And we will open the applications for, not applications, but the orgs need to register to being able to run in the competition. So what we're gonna do is promote super well. So an organization will fairly win this award, hopefully. And also I'll talk more upcoming weeks about the volunteers from tailgate. It's also super important. And then last but not least, Flames Fest. Flames Fest is this Wednesday. We worked so hard for the Flames Fest. It is going to be very big. Please fill the volunteering form. It will be very fun. You're able to engage with students. You can, we can talk about if you have any idea about what you want to do when you're a volunteer at the event. But please promote it, tell your friends, tell your classmates, maybe professors. We have a crazy amount of free food and so many free games. Everything is free, everything is so fun. We have the stage for DJs and everything. Tonight I'll talk with our DJs again. And the last thing, thanks to everyone who already contributed to social media reports. I'm thrilled to share that we passed 200 student interaction in 5 days, which is amazing. Whoever I invite right now in my class, they're like, oh, I already know that, or I'm coming. So yeah, thank you so much. And that's all. If you have any questions, I'll be around after the meeting, and you can always email me, and please don't forget to fill the volunteer report today. Thank you.
All right, are there any questions for the Vice President's report? If not, the report of the Vice President will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Treasurer.
Happy GBM 6, everyone. I hope everyone's midterms are starting to wrap up and everything's going well. Tonight's catering is barbecue night, so it's going to be barbecue party, which has chicken and pork. The chicken is halal. There's also a vegetarian option with tofu on the side. There's coleslaw and potato salad, along with side Caesar salad as well, and of course cookies. And as Delai mentioned, we need a lot of volunteers, especially for setup. So 3 to 4 p.m., we'd love to get as many people as possible. We have a lot of games to set up. We have to pick up catering, all of that. So 3 to 4 p.m., honestly, even like 2 to 3 p.m., if you're available, please fill out the form. And please show up and help out. It's kind of expected that all of you guys are at least there for a little bit at the event, even if you're not volunteering. It's a 4-hour event, so everyone should have some time to at least stop by, grab some food. And then otherwise, I've been finalizing USG tailgate participation with Delai and President Asa. I began Thanksgiving dinner planning with Delai as well, and finalized party to the pole catering with Asa. I began some connecting student leaders planning with Delai and Ashley over last week, ordered our catering for next week, and I also held my second committee meeting and worked on brainstorming initiatives. I don't have it written down here, but I'm happy to announce that my deputy is going to be Aaliyah. She's not here tonight, but congrats to her. And then some opportunities, of course, Flames Fest. We want to see you all there. If you have any questions or about helping out or just initiatives in general, please shoot me an email.
Are there any questions currently for the Treasurer's report? If not, the report of the Treasurer will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Speaker. So happy GBM 6, everyone. We're more than halfway through the semester. Updates, I'm starting to plan the USG social with interim speaker Sajal. Reach out to me if you'd like to help out with that. Other than that, I'm setting up the representative point system. It was tabled today, because I need to prepare a little bit more for it, but I'll be bringing it up in the next meeting. And then continuing to set up one-on-one meetings, if you haven't set one up, or if I haven't gotten back to you about that, I will this week. And other than that, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. If not, and you think of it later, feel free to ask me over email. Right. With that, the report of the speaker will be filed. Next, we have the report of the chief of staff.
I'll read it. Happy GBM 6. She had chief of staff check-ins last week with Director Giorgio, Treasurer Clemic, and Director Takudubiafu. This week she meets with Director Semi, Director Huang, and Director Nair. She also met last week with the UIC dietitian and the UIC dining marketing manager, along with Vice President Haybelly, Director Nair, and Chief Trustee Basta to talk about the annual supplementation program and the food insecurity event. She is opening up her deputy chief of staff applications now. It's open, the link is right there. They close this Thursday at midnight. She's hosting interviews on a rolling basis, so as you apply, you'll probably be selected for an interview. Her deputy will be announced at GBM 8, which is November 4th.
All right, thank you. If there are any questions for the chief of staff's report, please feel free to email.
Just for the application, if you're already chosen as a deputy chair, you cannot apply it. Just mention.
If there are no more comments or questions, the report of the chief of staff will be filed. Next, we have the report of the DIC chair.
Hello, everyone. Happy GBM 6. So for this week, the past week, I met with Vice President Bulai and discussed and finalized details about Thanksgiving dinner. And I'm in talks with UIC Global to discuss improvement in international student experience. And I had my weekly committee meeting in which we again finalized Thanksgiving dinner details. And finally, I've decided on DIC deputy, and that is.
With that, are there any questions or comments for the DIC chair's report? If not, the DIC chair's report will be filed. Next, we have the report of the LAC chair.
I'm reading that as well. She says, welcome to week 9. She meets this week with Chief of Staff Progre. She read the Party of the Polls event bill. Her third committee meeting was this week. She assigned roles, and then congrats to Deputy Director Mo for being chosen. And that is all.
If there are any questions for the LAC chair's report, please feel free to email Trish at the email included in the report. And with that, the report of the LAC chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the PAC committee chair.
Happy not 56 GBM, but the 6 GBM. First of all, congratulations to the new Public Affairs Deputy, Estrella. And then some updates. We've rolled out all the representative introductions and started promotion for Flames Fest. Make sure you are reposting the flyers on your story. And then we also today, before the GBM, chalked the sidewalk to UH lawn. And then me and Delai will be tabling on Wednesday from 10 to 11:30 to hand out flyers and encourage people to go. So if anyone is available to help out, send me an email. We'd love to have you help. And then some updates. I met with Delai to plan the upcoming Connecting Student Leaders event. We had our PAC committee meeting. We're working on the newsletter. We made some posters for tabling, and we planned event attendants to take pictures and videos of any events you guys are planning. And then with the graphic designer, we've been working on updating our pamphlet. So if you have any questions about any of that, please email me.
Okay. Are there any questions currently for the PAC chair? If not, the report of the PAC chair will be filed. Next, we have the student success chair.
All right, so good evening, happy GBM 6. So today was the USG and Career Services Spark Your Success event. So thank you to those of you that attended. The event was successful. So we were able to do about 70 headshots. So anyone who came to the event that wanted to do a headshot was able to get a headshot. We also had recruiters and employers, so ranging from Chicago Hope Academy, City Year, General Service Administration, JLL, Mariano's, Maryville, Nelson IQ, Northwestern Mutual, Thresholds, Trilogy, and the CIA. We actually had 5 people from the CIA. All come and basically give resume feedback and elevator pitch feedback. So next week, Career Services is hosting on Tuesday their career fair for the entirety of the university, both undergrad and graduate students. So today was just kind of an opportunity for students to come in and get resume on elevator pitch practice. And many students took advantage of that. And there was 2 navigating the career workshops during the event as well. So both Jean, the executive director of Career Services, and I are very proud of how the event go. And we're excited that so many students were able to benefit professionally from this event. Thank you to the USG members and also to PAC for stopping by. I appreciate your support. Upcoming events in about 3 weeks from today, on Monday, November 11th, will be Project C. So the coffee, cocoa, cookies, and career event. So this will essentially be another kind of all-around career services event, but this event will be focused on more so learning about career services that are available on campus. So stay tuned for more information about volunteering for that event. So today I met with Chief of Staff Perry for a daily check-in, and I'm currently in the process of setting up meetings with our directors of the tutoring centers, the Office of Student Success and Belonging, and our Department of Psychology. Now, the point of these meetings are a couple of things. In regards to the Department of Psychology, President Assad, Chief of Staff, Perry, and myself are evaluating the extent with the joint MS program. So obviously in our current world, we have a lot of mental health issues and we need more professionals in these areas. We should have more clinical psychologists and to that extent. So one way to kind of advocate for that pathway is having a joint bachelor's plus master's program to allow for that opportunity. So advocating that from a student government perspective and partnering up with our Department of Psychology to make that a possibility, very similar to other programs here at UIC, is kind of the goal with that. And in regards to the Office of Student Success and Belonging, we're kind of aiming to work with creating that rapid tutoring system. And Dr. Ginsberg mentioned that today, so Austin and I will also be following up with him to see how we can implement that here at a university level to benefit students, or in case a student needs assistance with tutoring. So those are just a couple of things that Student Success are working. Student Success Committee has also been meeting, and we've been discussing various initiatives and ideas. And I'll also be releasing information soon about opening up the application process for the students interested in the Career Services Leadership Council. So the Career Services as an entity has their own leadership council, and that's basically UIC Career Services, the Business Student Career Services, Engineering Career Center, and there's also one more that is slipping my mind right now. But all of them basically don't really work together. So they kind of try to form this career leadership council where the heads all kind of meet together to figure out how can we truly benefit students to a career extent and provide services and professional development opportunities to do that. So they were kind of requesting we should get a student advisory board. So that's when they came to last year, Asa, and this year myself, in regards to can we start this opportunity? And that's kind of, I'll be kind of taking charge of that with bringing people and I'll be hosting in my own application process and bringing people for that. So once I start advertising that, there'll be a graphic made by our amazing public affairs team. I'm gonna ask that you promote this to your network so that we can get as many students to apply for this so that we can really have a diverse range of students on this leadership advisory board so that students can be benefited from. But those are just a couple of things. In case you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email or let me know. But thank you.
All right, are there any questions currently for the Student Success Chair? If not, the report of the Student Success Chair will be filed. Next, can we have the Campus Life Committee Chair?
Happy 6 GBM, everyone. I hope your guys' midterms either went well or are gonna go well. And then, so for some initiative updates, I continued working on the logistics of the food drive, and we began discussing reestablishing the meal swipe donation program. For committee activities, I hosted our third committee meeting last Wednesday, and we went over like writing a bill basically. And then on some more exciting news, the new deputy chair for CLC will be Cameron. And then for meeting updates, I met with our campus dietitian, Krista Star Wars, the UIC Dining Services Marketing Manager, Jamar Francisco, Student Trustee Basta, Vice President Habeli, and Chief of Staff Progre. And during this meeting, as Vice President Habeli said, and in Teresa's report, we began discussing the meal swipe donation program and then how it can be piloted this semester and hopefully turn into like a permanent thing for throughout the next coming semesters and years. And then for future plans, I have recently, or I'm in the process of setting up a Residence Hall Association meeting to discuss potential housing initiatives with Vice President Habeli. And then for announcements, we have Flames Fest this week from on Wednesday from 4 to 8 p.m. as everyone else said. So please consider stopping by if you're not volunteering. And then yeah, if you guys have any other further questions, feel free to contact me.
All right, are there any questions for the campus life chair currently? If not, the report of the campus life chair will be filed. The next order of business is announcements. Are there any announcements?
Dr. Ginsburg always told, but if you didn't do the climate survey, I think it will be really good if we all can do tonight. So like it's sort of, they support us, we should support them, and it's like his request. So let's like all of us do this tonight, and Casey probably do more promo. If you can promote to your friends, it will be really good too.
All right, I have two announcements. Starting off, alongside our kind of booth at the tailgate that USG has, that's not the only reason you should come. If there's any Don Tolliver fans here, if you go to the UIC tailgate as well as the homecoming game that weekend, there's a Don Tolliver concert at Credit Union Arena, and you'll be entered into a raffle to win 2 tickets to the concert. So that's another attractive kind of reward for that. And then second, this is something that I mentioned last week, but it's happening this week, is on Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. in Illinois Room, there's going to be a healthcare job fair. So if you're interested in that, check it out before Flames Fest.
Sorry, I don't want to leave, but is there any type of outfit we have to wear for the Flames Fest for volunteering?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Since we don't have this year's merge and like we have so many new members, it's not, no, just come, bring your stuff. People have fun there. That's the only thing we request, literally. Just show up. Anything. Thank you.
I believe like you'll get entered to the raffle if you're a UIC student, but if you get 2 tickets, I don't think like those 2 tickets are only for UIC students. So if you want to bring someone along, I don't think they have to be a UIC student. Yeah. All right, if there are no more announcements, we will move on to the next order of business. And the next order of business is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Is there a second?